Hello and welcome to this ATRAX 2.0 Premier tutorial. In this guide we're going to review Customer Certificate Review. So if I'm a Premier customer and I want to sign off on gauges that ATI has calibrated for me, we do have that functionality now to provide a written record in the system that you have either approved or rejected a certificate that has come back to you from us for one of your calibrations. So there's a couple of places to interact with this mechanic. Starting with our equipment screen, if I'm looking at Mike's lab, I am on gauge thread ring 3. If I look over here, it's an active gauge. And if I look a little, all my basic descriptors are over here. Coming over to the right, we have identifiers, and then there is a checkbox for customer reviewed. So this checkbox indicates that you, as a customer, have reviewed the most recent calibration event in the history of this gauge. So if we look down at the history of this gauge, you see we have one calibration event. So this gauge was calibrated on 7.3, and then it went through QA. And it has now been returned to the customer. So now I'm the customer. I want to review that certificate and then enter some sort of record to say that I have done that. So that process would begin by navigating to your gauge that you want to review, finding the most recent calibration event, double-clicking the certificate to download it and review it. So you would actually open this up, look at it, make sure that everything looks good and to your liking. Assuming that it was, and we have some missing things here, this is just a test record, so there are some things wrong here, so I would reject this, but for the purposes of our demonstration, we're going to accept it. So I've looked at this certificate, right? I say everything looks good on this. I want to approve this certificate. So there is an event up here for this. If you go to the top right, we have an event, and under Premier Events, there is an event for Customer Certificate Review. Clicking on that, as long as you're on the gauge first, so if you're in the equipment view for the gauge, it's automatically going to find your most recent calibration that has been performed. And you see it has done that here, and it has automatically filled in all of these things. Can't click on any of these. Basically, you're just saying that this is what came back. This is the status from ATI. This is how it came back to you. And then as the reviewer, you're going to have a drop-down list which is going to have a list of your internal employees, and we have another video on how to actually modify this list and update this list, but you would pick the person who is signing off. This is specifically because we're logging in under our Premier account, and the Premier account is kind of generic. It's not necessarily tied to any one single person. So you do want to actually choose the name of the approver that you are approving or rejecting, and then you have an actual approve or reject option. So you will either approve, which will accept the cert, or you can reject it. If you approve a cert, it will basically just check the customer reviewed checkbox on the equipment screen, identifying that you have reviewed it, and it's good to go. If you reject a certificate, it will send an email directly to me, Mike at ATIQuality.com. I'm the quality manager here, and then I will be able to review the reason why you have rejected it. If you reject, it will require you to enter a comment, and the comment is going to be your reason for why you have rejected the cert. I would then receive that email automatically, and then I could begin a corrective action to try to get you a certificate revision or address whatever other issue there was for the rejection. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and just approve this. So we're going to say Patrick is my guy who's approving. We are going to approve this certificate exactly as it came through. We see that the gauge itself is automatically been added down here, thread ring 3. So as soon as I launched the event, it added it, so there was no need to manually add anything here. All we're doing as the reviewer is just putting the name and approve or reject. Then we click Finish. And we now look at our history, and we have a customer certificate review event has been created. This will be your objective evidence that you have reviewed the certificate. You'll notice also that my customer reviewed checkbox is now checked, identifying that we've taken a look at this. And if I wanted to actually have a little form, the certificate review does have generate a form which you can print out to use as objective evidence as well. And it's a simple review, and it's going to tell you that you either approved by Patrick or you rejected by Patrick or whatever the case may be, and then here will be the gauge information and then any remarks that you had for that failure or pass. So that is how the review works in the system here. There's additionally, if you go to your home screen, and we have the gauge searches, reports, and then we have a tab for Premier users. So you'll have 3 options here, and you'll be able to see all of your pending certificates, all of your approved certificates, and all of your rejected certificates. So if you are a customer who will be using this, you will probably be navigating to this tab right here frequently, clicking on your pending certificates anytime you have gauges come back from calibration from us, and then you can approve or reject those things, and then those gauges would be moved to one of these 2 statuses so that you could follow up with any rejections, and then approves obviously are just good to go. So that is a summary of how the system works here in ATRAX 2.0 for customer reviewed certificates. If you have any questions on this or need help with a walkthrough on doing the first couple, feel free to contact me at mike@atiquality.com, and I'll walk you through and help you any way I can. Thanks.